What's up, everybody? Back again. Back from Vegas. What a time that was. Just saw the YouTube notification just went out. So if you have your notification alerts on for this channel, you would have got an email right now. If you're watching this, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, sign up for notifications. All right, let's tweet the link out. Oh, you know what I wanted to do today? I wanted to also stream from Twitter Spaces. Why don't we try that? Sure, I'll turn the music off. Okay. So we're going to be doing a Twitter space right now as well. I'll mainly be looking at the YouTube chat, but I'll try to look at if anyone's requesting to be up. Maximus team recap. Launch update and PulseCon recap. All right, so we're live on YouTube, live on Twitter. Let's see if anyone shows up. It is Friday night, but we never stop over here. So I guess today what I wanted to go over was just to check in on the progress of the launch of the Perpetuals and team. We can look at how much has been minted, how much hex has been minted into Perpetuals, and how much Maxi's been minted into team, and what that means for the team supply or for the Maxi supply as well. And then, any question you have, ask me anything. We'll be here as long as they're good questions. And so here, let me just share my screen. All right. So let's pull up my screen real quick, and then we'll. I see. What's up, RH Max? Well, first, how about we just talk about We'll talk about before we get into the launch update. Let's talk about Vegas. Had an awesome time. Met some incredible people that I knew from online, but then meeting them in person and then just like making that connection, that's really meaningful. So RH Max was one of those people that, I've spent hours streaming with him before and, talking online, but then when we, get there in person, it's just like, it's like we knew each other. So it's really cool to, get to experience that with a lot of people. And dude, I had an awesome time with you. We really had a good time on Wednesday, and and also shout out to RH Max for because we had the Maximus booth, but since there was some uncertainty around that, like just kind of how the conference was going to go, we didn't end up making any like swag or anything because we're like, okay, do we really want to order something when like we were kind of worried that it wasn't going to work out, but then ended up being an awesome conference. So regardless of all the kind of stuff that led up to it, it was a really great time. It brought a lot of people together during a bear market, and had some amazing conversations, a lot of really smart people. And I feel like these are the moments that what I was about to say was, before I get into that, shout out to RH Max for helping, because he had some swag that he had made, and we didn't really make any swag, but we let him know he could, come stand at our booth and, hand out stuff, and it ended up being a hit. Like all the shirts he brought were awesome. Everyone took. I don't think he left with a single one. Even the one that I had set aside for myself, like behind the booth, someone took that one. So it's like people wanted those shirts. So he really brought life to our little booth down there, um, and it was pretty awesome. Just that whole experience. Um, the speakers were pretty good. I mean, we had a guy who was a early executive at Netflix. He was one of the founders of what was it called, um, Redbox, and then also like the CEO of MoviePass. So um, hearing him speak and just kind of like his experience in in the in the movie and film industry, but kind of how he progressed into the digital age. That was a really cool, story to hear. It's not one of, I mean, you could probably hear it, but it's not, everyone hears about like the Steve Jobs stories and, the Elon Musk and kind of these other ones, but seeing like other entrepreneurs um, that build businesses through transformative periods of time with technology, it's really inspiring. And I feel like, there's a lot of really practical information that was shared there. And so that was the speakers were great. Um, I was able to go and do a panel. It was supposed to be me and Alex, but sadly he was unable to attend. But then Blue Bump stepped in and did a great job. Maybe on this stream we'll recap that. If you can search it on Gold Key's YouTube, he posted the video of the panel, and what it was the title of our segment was the future of DeFi. And so we talked about what DeFi really means, why Hex is like a good example of what true DeFi is, and then what that means, like, when like building upon Hex and, like adding new features to Hex. And so it was a really interesting panel. Pretty short. We could have gone for hours. But that was just an awesome experience. Met a lot of people that know from them online, but then then just meet them in person. That's really cool. And then also so many people came up to us and were like, "Hey, I'm in Maxi. I minted 1-to-1. I love it. Like, this is amazing. Congratulations. Thank you so much." Like, the amount of people that were um, coming up to us and telling us just how happy and thankful they were that Maximus exists. That was huge. Like, that was like, it's like, we get it, online, like people on Twitter are very supportive, and you all here on the YouTube are very supportive. And, I'm so grateful for that. And then when you feel that in person, like someone tells that to your face, it is actually a whole different feeling. And it feels really good, and it's really really empowering, and it really just makes us want to keep pushing this. So that was really really amazing. Just every other person we talked to would be like, "Oh, I'm so happy that I minted Maxi, and I already in team minting the Perpetuals," and people are just like ahead of the curve. So that was really awesome to see so many Maximus gladiators out there. And what's so great about it is that um, during bull runs, crypto conferences are packed. Like everyone wants to be, kind of in the game when the prices are running. But when the prices are not running, the people that show up, those are the people that you want to do business with and build relationships with, because they're not kind of like the fair weather, here today, gone tomorrow type of people. Like, those are the people that are into it, and those are the types of people that I'm really glad that we got to connect with. And that was really special, and I'll remember these people for the rest of my life. So I'm very very thankful to all the people that I met out there, got to spend time with. It was truly amazing. So yeah, the conference was fun because there's like kind of like the main speaker conference, and there's kind of this like streaming room in kind of adjacent. And so got on this stream with Crypto Coffee and Dollar Cost Crypto. And that was was hilarious. I don't know if I should bring it up, but the like I went on, and then Golki went on, and then someone somehow got a hold of the StreamYard link and posed as someone that like another. I forgot the name of the person that they were posing as, like another person that sometimes streams maybe with like Funding Gym or Crypto Coffee or whoever was, whoever StreamYard that was. Someone got the StreamYard link and then put some obscenely disgusting content. They like tricked their way into the stream, and then like for like 1 second, Coffee's like, "Oh, this here's a good hexagon," and he adds into the stream, and it's just like takes a turn for the worst. If you didn't see it live, you didn't see it because they took it down right. Like I think Gary took it down right away and to edit it before he re-uploaded it because it was it was horrible. Like the look on their faces was like it was hilarious, but it was truly horrendous. Like it was so disgusting and so bad. So, funny little bloopers like that. It was just kind of funny. But it's probably the worst thing that happened the whole trip was just that little moment where someone hacked the StreamYard link. So that was, so that day was pretty cool. And then kind of the conference day ended with the Richard Hart getting on, and was awesome. He mentioned Maxi twice. He mentioned it when he was talking about kind of this like vertically integrated ecosystem within Hex, where it's like we have Hex as the asset, and then we have Pulse Chain coming up as the blockchain, and then he's talking about the the wallet, and then he mentioned the derivatives built on top of Hex, such as Hedron, Ecosa, and Maxi. So he mentioned by name in front of everyone at that conference, that he's very aware and considers the stuff that we're building to be part of this vertically integrated infrastructure. And so that was really, really validating. And, so I'm really thankful to him for mentioning that. But yeah, so, that was a lot of fun. And then that night they had an event where DJ Lethal was playing, and there was like a fashion show. And then during the fashion show, they had Freddie, Corey, and Black Crypto do a whole concert, like, and it was sick. Like it's like it never stopped. Like most of them are songs I'd heard, but there's some songs I just hadn't heard, and and it was just like there's rotating, and it was amazing to see just like how creative and that they are. And like what other coin has that, like three guys that just like produce amazing music that's just like they each have their own sound, and just like, but then like the message, like it just like really resonates. And so that was a lot of fun to um just to just see that, and just see everyone just having a great time with each other. Because it's like you'd think, in a bear market everyone would just be like, depressed, not want to do anything, but just like, how people really value coming together, and just doing stuff together, that's really amazing, and that's powerful. And it was, and really what I kind of gathered from that, and it's kind of consistent with what we see, where we have so many people that are creating YouTube content, streaming, um, you know, tweeting, and participating in the discussion, and then the people making music, and then the fashion shows. A woman who was making these like embroidered with these like bedazzled kind of like hex and pulse chain themed apparel. Just like how creative people are, and even like all the stuff that people are building on top of Hex, or even just building, competing things but they're like, they come from Hex, but then, maybe they're building some other thing that's like, not really boosting Hex, but they're just building something like, there's a lot of creative spirit within Hex. Like, it's not just people that are like waiting for the investment to go up. It's like, there's people waiting for the investment to go up. And like, as part of it, and part of the education and onboarding, and part of just like kind of the community development aspect of it, people really just kind of use Hex as a channel to express their own creativity, which I think is amazing. And it's just like there's just some magical there. And so that event that night was really fun. Um, DJ Lethal played, and it was so funny because he's like a hexagon and in a pulse and all that, and it'd be funny. He'd like drop these little things like 2 more weeks, and just like really playing to the crowd, and just the music was awesome, really nostalgic. So that was an amazing event. And then what else? And then the next day, we're just kind of just chilling and relaxing, and then there was like that last night. It was like the Mintra and Nagabo mansion party, and that was really cool. It's pretty funny. The like company that I think like one of the companies that it wasn't Mintra, but one of the companies that sponsored it, the um, like the disclaimer form that you had to sign when you came in was kind of funny. It was pretty hilarious. But then the I think what all I recall from it was you may encounter cannabis smoke and obscene behavior. And I was like, hell yeah. So that was pretty, that was like fun. Everyone was pretty tired by that point, but a lot of people were just having fun and, talking. It was like a huge place. So, it was a really, and shout out to, all the projects that sponsored those events and, were gracious enough to host. That was really awesome, and it was just so cool, going to these events and then just talking in depth, about Maxi stuff. Like people there are so well informed. Like every people that would come up to me, like barely anyone came up to me and was like, "What is it?" Everyone came up and already knew what it was, and it was cool because I could kind of just like candidly speak to people in person about just kind of my experience doing this um, and just it's like I get on stream frequently and answer questions here, but I feel like the that in person connection where you're discussing something, you can kind of see the light bulbs going off in each other's minds, and you can really kind of get a sense of the conversation, and so um, I really enjoyed the just the detail that we would be going into. And people are like, oh, like apologizing, like, oh, like I don't want to take away from the party. I'm like, no, this is why I came. I came like, to me, partying is in a loud room talking about talking about yield curves on the range of the perpetuals. Like that's what I'm here for. Like, you know, and also, met some really awesome people that in ways that I hadn't even considered have made a really big impact in the Maximus ecosystem. So, it's just overall like the quality of people that we were able to spend time with out there. I'm so grateful for. And Archmax, you were there. It was uh, Archmax is so tall. He's so tall. Like me and Golki are usually like, I mean, we're kind of tall, not too tall, but Archmax is tall and he's yoked. You wouldn't believe it. Oaksville says, I'll definitely make the next one. I want a Maxi M hat. Oh, where's my hat? Oh, I'll have to find it later. Yeah, we got to make Maximus hats. If I'd have known how to make some custom Maximus t-shirts. Yeah, we'll have to do that. Okay, we'll come back to the question. Let's see. What's up, Hexicans? Chase says the video is lagging the sound. I hope not. Well, we'll just have to see. Oh, it's catching up. Okay, maybe it's my internet connection or something. So many people. Great stream. Bran, yep. Hello, Bran. Here's a good hex. Yeah. That was so funny. They just had like a look of disbelief. Saw that. That's awesome, man. Y'all are battering. You're bettering the ecosystem, doing great work. Thank you, Balliet. Is the birthday for Team the Perpetuals going to be September 5th or September 27th? Probably the 5th. Probably the launch date. The 27th, that can be the bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah. That could be the no, it can be the quinceañera of uh, of them when they kind of that next stage of life type of event. We ever create a Watson style NFT pool that neither does or doesn't feed into team somehow? Um, Maybe just to save people from doing solo icosa stakes. Like we'll discuss that whole concept in depth more, but I'm actually really concerned with it, like pretty much anyone who has less than 100,000 in their icosa stakes or their HSIs that they mint in icosa. I'm like, yikes. And the people that may end up with those, I'm like, yikes. So, maybe to save people from that, that could be in order, but that's a little bit lower down the priority line. Because I mean, what's kind of set, and in some ways, I feel like I kind of have like this conflict of interest where, on one hand, like I want to save as many people as I can from staking on their own, and just like, and also like saving hex from that. Like the more max length stake, it's like a DDoS attack on hex. Like if there's too many max length stakes, like tiny individual max length stakes going on, it's literally a DDoS attack on hex. It can make hex come to a grinding halt. And so, and also what that just does is whoever's holding those, those stakes, they bought them and they thought they were going to be able to cash them out. But then, like, if there's gas wars for ending the stakes because all the blocks are full as a result of so many of these happening, and if especially as it gets competitive to end those stakes, and just with so many coming out, there's users are going to have a really horrible experience, and the hex ecosystem is going to be greatly impacted. One, just from it kind of coming to a grinding halt, where many stakes are infeasible to end because there's so many of these individual long-term stakes ending all at once. So for that, and then also just like the amount of hex that will have to be sold to cover gas, or hex that just otherwise isn't purchased in the first place to cover gas. So I do feel this weird conflict of interest because, like, on one hand, I want to save those people and save hex from that. I mean, that's the whole point of Maxis, to save hex from that. But on the other hand, like, that's such a huge pumpamental for the stake pools and a huge value driver for the people in the stake pools. Because if you can't afford to end your stake, you're really just paying the people that can through the late end stake penalty, and you're not competing as a seller. So I kind of have this weird conflict of interest here where, like, I want to save people from themselves and protect hex in that way. But I also want to have the people that participate in the perpetual pools and any other future pools to benefit from that. So it's like this weird, I'm still trying to, gather my own thoughts around how I really should approach it. Like, because it's like I want to support Icosa, because like because like Hedron, I don't think caused that same problem, but and like Hedron is massively valuable to the Maximus ecosystem. But as far as like Icosa goes, and kind of the behavior that it's incentivizing, um, it's like I really don't even really know how to approach it, because on one hand, it's like, I think negative, it's kind of like a negative externality on hex, and then also for the people that can't afford to end the stakes, like other individual stakers that are kind of like this residual, they're caught in the crossfire of that. But it basically, it's like all those people are basically paying the people that are in the perpetuals or in any of our stake pools. So it's like this weird duality there where, I'm having a really hard time kind of figuring out how I should, kind of approach that. It's definitely something interesting, that it's like I was aware of that, but then the more I was like talking to people about this stuff this week, it really kind of, and also when I saw a chart about the number of people staking into that system, and um, it's like on one hand I'm like, oh my gosh, way to DDoS hex, and then on the other hand I'm like, okay, well, most of these are going to be infeasible to end. All of ours are going to be feasible to end. So maybe just the Maximus people are just going to be laughing all the way to the bank, and maybe we'll break off a bone and share it with the people that can't afford to end the stakes. But yeah, it's But as far as creating that, maybe some type of thing where people can at least pool into an ICOSA. Like if they really want that ICOSA, maybe some type of pool for that. But that's way below. That's like priority number 5. Because maybe everyone over here experiences better financial performance by just letting them bleed out and letting them kind of bear the consequence on their own. So yeah, I don't know. Great question. I might have said too much, but you guys are here, so you heard it first. Sounds like a great party. Yeah, it was. Do you expect any of the pools to max out the bigger players better bonus? Yeah, I mean, I think they can. They absolutely can. Especially as people's stakes end and as crunch time kind of comes in. Um, you know, but also on the other hand, a lot of people kind of wasted their liquid hex, and but that's just part of the game. So, but yeah, I think we can. I definitely think we can. Desi has the best chance of getting the BPB this mint phase. Yeah, the max bonus. Oh yeah. What's the simplest way to predict team's yield? For example, if hex is 40 cents and team has 300 million hex, etc. formula. Um, so if you go to my Twitter and just search Tantonomini equation, there's a whole equation that shows like how much team earns per stake pool. So that's one way to look at it. Do you own any Hedron or Icosa? Did you buy any Watsa? Yeah, I mean, I tested all these things out. It's like you can't accurately discuss anything without having it. And I own a lot of exposure to Hedron through my Maxi and and old stakes. Hedron's awesome. I love Hedron. And I love Icosa too because I love any new coin. Like anything that lets people speculate is good. I think it's good. But I don't necessarily like the behavior that it's causing. Even though it's going to be even though that like is massively profitable for the stuff that we're building, I just don't. It kind of makes me sick. Like just seeing so many small solo stakes, I'm like, yikes. How much does it take to be a whale, share, squid, etc. on team? Why don't we look? It's actually a harder thing to look immediately because I haven't built something to analyze the events. But what we have is here, I'll share my screen in a second, but yeah, I mean, we haven't really come up with like a formal or even like casual type of like league system there. Because just reading from the data on Etherscan, because there's two figures. There's I don't know. I guess that's why we can do it. We can just share it. Let's just share it. Let's do it now. So let's pull this up. So right now we have in the Perpetuals, Base Trio and Lucky all broke 10 million today. And then Defi broke or almost broke 40 million. So in total, we have about 70 million hex in the Perpetuals, spread out across the 4 with, Defi in the lead. And then we've had 27 million team minted. And of that, 19.5 million is staked, and then 7.75 million is liquid. So, depending on how people want to like frame the league system. So say if we're basing it off of just like whether it's liquid or not, so total team, and what are whales like 1%, or maybe I don't know. whales 1%, sharks 0.1, or maybe whales are 10%, sharks are 0.1. So if you have like 2.7 million team, you're a whale. If you have 272,000, you're a shark. Kind of going down from there. But yeah, there's in total just over 27 million team minted into Maxi, and so that puts us right above, at least for the team contract. That puts it above the Hedron deployer. Well, let's see. Let's make sure that, because that no. Yeah, that's right. Because it had about 26 million. So Hedron deployer has 26 million. So now team, when we look at the Ether scan, see if we can find. Okay, here we go. Team. We have all this Maxi in here. So when we go to the Maxi token holders, yeah, so team contract just surpassed the Hedron deployer. And so yeah, so that's how much team there is. And then from that, where's my other screen? And then from that, we're going to have 5.45 million Maxi burnt, and then 8.18 million held in that 369 Maxi rebate. So what's pretty interesting about that is that when you compare that to the just the total liquidity here. So there's 3 million Maxi for sale actively in the pool. And so that is, so let's go to the average price because that's more pure. So the hex or the Maxi in this pool is 3 million. And so, and that I always repeat this, but I feel like it's important. This number here doesn't reflect the total, because there's other pools too, but then also there's Maxi that's like for sale, but isn't in the liquidity pool. Like if it creeps up, or like someone who's like about to sell, that there's kind of like a whole spectrum of like likelihood to be sold. And, if it's in the pool, it's, highly likely. If it's someone that's just like waiting to sell, it's like a little bit less likely, but still highly likely. And so say in total, there's like 5 million Maxi just like for sale at any given time right now. And when we have 5.45 million Maxi burnt, this was Maxi that perhaps people bought from, the market. That's why, it's part of why the price has gone up so much, because people were buying in preparation for mint. But then the amount that we're burning is going to be greater than the amount in the liquidity pools. So, that, and even though since it went into the team contract, it's like effectively burnt, because it's scheduled to be burnt. It hasn't been technically burnt yet, but that Maxi's not for sale because it can't from the contract. It only can be burnt by now. So it's kind of like as if it's already burnt, but it hasn't been reflected in just like the total supply value. And so much as like the market uses that total supply value to, to discover price, maybe it has an impact there, but, we're kind of already seeing that effect, because that, that is, even though that's about like, what was that, like 2% of the total maxis being burnt. So that means that like the remaining maxis becoming more valuable by about 2%. It's like a 2% airdrop to all the maxi holders, which is kind of cool. And then also, by that maxi being burnt, we are boosting the value of that 369 maxi rebate, because now those coins are going to be a little bit more valuable. And then, right now it's like the burn it has its effect on the circulating supply. Like those coins no longer can show up on the liquidity pool, but it's still we're still only what 4 or 5, yeah, we're almost 5 months in to 5 of 82 months of Maxi, and so the impact that burn is probably going to make a larger effect later on as it's closer to redemption, because the burn has everything to do with redemption. Um, you know, it in a little bit kind of changes how the premium is measured, um, because it's actually like in terms of how you measure the premium. Someone tell me if I'm getting this math right, because I am exhausted. But doesn't that decrease the premium because now each one is worth each Maxi token is backed by a little more, and but I don't know. I guess the price has gone up more than, and it's hard to even tell when to measure from. Like when did the price go up as a result of this? But so maybe it kind of cancels out. But I think the effect of that is probably going to be more apparent later on. And then also, during years 3, 6, and 9, when we have, so just like as of now, if minting was to stop right now, um, then so what is it? It's a sixth of 8. So just like 1.5 million is going to be released in year 3, and then 3 million is going to be released in year 5, or in year 6, and then 5 million is going to be released in year 9. And so the combination of the burn taking effect, plus by year 3 we will have already doubled the, because if we're earning 30% ish per year, by the time year 3 comes around, the interest earned will be equal to the principal. So it's like the the coins that have been earned to date, where there's absolute certainty that they're there, that is now 2 to 1. So now like 2 may be the baseline of price at that year 3 for Maxi. And so if that's the value measured in hex for that year's payout of team, then what is that worth for team? And then in year 6, will be about, if that same 30% maintains, then year 3 it's like we will have, or in year 6 we will be about 3 to 1, like where each Maxi has earned 3 hex of yield. So, and then at that time again, even more so that, that value is just translated into, demand for staking team, because the team, the Maxi is just worth more hex at that time. And then, times whatever percent gets burnt, because that burning is just like redistributing to the rest of the Maxi. So, and then year 9, same thing. And that'll be late in the cycle where, we'll have, maybe be worth like 3 or 4 to 1, max or hex per Maxi to date. And there's possibly going to be very high, higher certainty about the end value. So those are like the baselines. So if like the baseline for the premium doubles every year, or doubles every 3 years, then, and every day that you inch closer to the end redemption day, you're more certain in what the end value is going to be. Like right now, it's like it's very hard to predict what 15 years is going to look like, but by year 9, maybe it's more reasonable to be able to predict what the next 6 years look like. And so perhaps the market prices in that future earnings. And so, that 369 Maxi rebate could be really lucrative, for just team in general. Especially if in the meantime, a lot of the team supply has been burnt as a result of early end stake penalties. And, maybe by then, like people see the cycles and they actually don't stake as much, because maybe they find profitable liquidity providing or trading opportunities outside of just staking their team. And so maybe by then the team stake rate will only be like 30%. And if the team stake rate's like 30%, then, you're getting, you could be getting back close to the amount of of Maxi you put in across those years. Maybe that's if the team stake rate's low enough. And what's critical to consider is that the team stake rate must make, because I think it'll always start high. Like it'd be rare for every year for there not to be early end staking. But in those years, especially if like those are big value drivers, especially because there's a trio stake ending where like trio is like 3 base stakes in 1 year, and there's the base stake. So, those ones can, potentially increase demand for stake team during those years. And, um, just as that whole cycle kind of takes hold of itself, you may not even care about the yield because, what if the team price goes up 10,000x, 100,000x, like what do you care about the, little bit of hex and maxi earning? You know what I mean? So I'm really interested to see how that plays out. And then, and yeah, I guess the last thing it covers the mystery box, 13 million maxi in the mystery box, turning into quite the mystery, a 13 million maxi mystery. But that's pretty exciting. And yeah, so those are the numbers so far, plus a little analysis. Matt Hexstrom asked, sorry if you covered this before, but can you describe what the mystery box is? Looks like it's racking up maxi. Yeah, it's a mystery. At the end of the mint phase, the mystery box is going to end up with half of the maxi that is minted into team, and then a copy of the team. So it's basically going to end up with a big bag of maxi and team, and it is a mystery what happens with it. And so what the best way to start solving that mystery is just, reflect and say, what would you do if you had that? And that's a possibility, because anything can happen, and truly anything. Oh my God, funny story. Okay, actually hilarious story about the mystery box. We were leaving the event and there was, okay, actually two stories. No, I'll tell this one because it's mystery box related. We're leaving the event is on Fremont Street, and then you know how there's those people that ride bikes and they like with like a rickshaw trailer and they give you a ride home. I go out there and then I was like, and the guy was like, "Need a ride?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, going to Texas. Can you take us there?" And he's like, "I'll drive to my truck and I'll drive you." And then he said something like, "Oh, like all you Hexagon millionaires." I was like, "I don't know, there must be some here." And then he was like, "How about that?" He's like, "How about that diamond?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that he's like that." And then he said, I was like, "Oh yeah, like pretty wild." He's like, "Yeah, how about that mysterious diamond?" And he like looks at me, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, mysterious diamond. Yeah, what if it was coal? What if Richard got swindled and they sold him a lump of coal?" And he was like, "Very mysterious." And then I kind of saw what he was saying, and I was like, "Yeah, that diamond belongs in a mysterious box." And then without skipping a beat, this guy's like, "That I shall have no expectation of." And it was just so like, and then we just locked eyes, and like it was actually this surreal experience that this person that was driving this rickshaw in Vegas, he must have been onboarded by Hexagons, at some event, or maybe that event people were just talking about it, but he recognized me and then was making this, him and I were doing this kind of like improv, like yes and type of thing, where he's kind of play off each other, and it was truly hilarious about how he like the way he just followed up the where I was trying to see, I wasn't sure if he meant like what he was suggesting, and then when it clicked that he knew what was going on. And then the way he followed up where I was like, "Yeah, that diamond belongs in a mysterious box." And it was just really, that was hilarious. That really shows that, there's people all over the world that are tuned in with this stuff. So that was pretty hilarious. Hex Love says, "I like how you talk about saving people from future gas fees. Where do you calculate gas fees on stake?" Go to hexnoob.com. So hexnoob.com. And on here, they have a end state gas calculator. And so this is what helps you do this. So, for 300, so it's all based on the number of days and the gas price. You can read the gas price on Etherscan. So like right now it's 9, like that's fairly low. Um, and the I wonder if we probably don't even register here because we're just so gas efficient that like we don't show up on the gas guzzlers because like it uses such little gas to mint. um, but yeah, so this is where you can do it, and so you basically just have to predict what you think that the gas price is going to be um, at that time. So one way to look at it, let's see if we can find like a Ethereum historical gas GWay gas prices. See if we can make some sense of it here. Yeah, so see the full chart. I don't want to look at that. Okay. Is there a log chart that we can look at? No. Okay. So like, all of 2020, it was kind of, 10, 25, 25, and we see these big spikes up sometimes. Usually that's when there's like a lot of DeFi activity. So this all of 2020 right here, you guys remember DeFi summer, all the yield farming stuff, like the food tokens, all that stuff. That's what these gas prices were. So, if this is the average gas price, if the average price is 538, that means that in certain hours of those days, it must have been in the thousands. So, um, this is and for the people listening on Twitter, I forgot that I was doing this Twitter space at the same time, but what we're looking at now is ycharts.com, the Ethereum average gas prices. So, you basically saw like all of 2020, it was really high, and then there are spikes in it where, like remember when like especially when there's like yield farming things where like everyone was like, it was like a rush to the door and everyone's like trying to get out. That can really have an impact on gas. So like imagine you have so right here, like, and this is the average. So the average of the week of September 17th, 2020 was 538 GWay. So when we go back to this calculator, so if you have a stake that is only 1 year, so if you just happen to start your stake a year before the average gas price returns to where it was in September of 2020, so this is before the NFT stuff, before everything, if it just returned to that level, um, then your 1 year stake would cost half an ETH to end. So what that means is that the earnings from your stake would need to be large enough to where that half of an ETH is worth maybe less than like 1% of the earnings or something, or like something very small to make it worthwhile, because then it's like, why did you, if you, or what if like, the value of your yield just happened to, where your principal size was such that the value of your yield just equaled the ETH to end the stake. And then it's like, well, shit, why'd you stake in the first place? So it's definitely a big thing. And so, yeah, just looking at this chart, which honestly, I have never even really looked at it like this. Um, the lowest weekly average that it got to in 2020 was about 46. Yeah. So this is the lowest. So even, more modestly at 50 GWay, a 1 year stake is going to cost 0.044 ETH to end. So right now, so what is the ETH price? Like 1800, 1700. So right now, like that's a $74 gas fee if, a 1 year stake that you might have just happens to end on the day where the gas prices are like at the lowest average that they were in 2020. And 2021 was much higher, at least on average. 2020 had these big spikes. Um, But 2020, 2021, it was pretty consistently, at least for the first half of the year, uh, it was pretty consistently very high. You know, where all of between January and June, so the whole first half of the year last year, the average weekly gas price never went below like 71. That was like the lowest that it went to just for a little bit. And so, that's it's a big driver. There's timing involved because when there's all this like NFT stuff or just like crazy stuff going on, the gas prices can really go up. And these are the average prices. That's not like the price at the moment you're trying to. So like if the gas prices were such that they created these averages, that in there are times of really, really high prices. And so that's why it's so important. That's why I beat the drum. Sometimes I feel like, I mean, all you listening to me right now are fully aware of this because I mean, it's the whole premise of it. But sometimes I feel like I'm kind of calling upon deaf ears on this topic where it's almost like people know that it's true, but they don't want to face it. And so they just say, oh, Pulse Chain is going to solve this. Oh, ETH devs are going to solve it. Oh, Hex price going another 10,000x. We don't even care. Or, you know, like stop fudding. Like it's like the responses that I kind of sense. It's like people are aware, but it's like they don't want to cope with it yet. So there's like a lot of hopium, a lot of expectations. But I think these numbers are going up because, like, why wouldn't they? Like, do you think more or less people are going to want to use public immutable blockchains? And it's not like anything with the ETH merge is going to fix it. And, like if, since it's moving to proof of stake, like, I was kind of under the impression that part of the proof of stake system in Pulse Chain would decrease fees. But I mean, I guess it turns out that the fee decreases really just comes from faster blocks and larger blocks. And so, you kind of have to tolerate the risks involved in that. But then, okay, then that means that, okay, when the user size is, um, you know, if the blocks go at 3 times the rate and they can probably reasonably um, double the block size. And I mean, there's a reason that they have block size limits, guys. Like and it's not trivial. And so, if it's 3 second instead of 10, so 3 times more blocks per minute, and then say it's double the block size, then we're really getting just a 6x capacity boost, which makes an impact. It's not like, because that can spread it out. But, what that means is that, if we onboard 6 times as many users as they're currently going to be, or 6 times as many users on Pulse Chain than there are Ethereum. Like if you think Pulse Chain is going to be a big success, like 10,000x in price, a lot of users, a lot of use cases, NFTs, DeFi, DAOs, all this stuff. Like, if we perform how we should, then the gas fees are going to be high. So it's kind of no matter how you slice and dice it, like this end state gas fees are a real thing. And the big lever is the days and the gas price. So, right there in those examples, we're talking about a 365-day stake, but let's just look at the 555 day stake, where even with you know, like during a bull market, 50 Gwei gas is low, and so even with like relatively low bull market gas fees, max length stake is like 0.64 for ETH. And what's ETH going to be worth in that many days? Like, it's like a pretty big risk to not just hold that ETH to prepare for it, because what if the ETH price just runs and then it just makes it worse for you and then you can't afford it? I know people had suggested you can do a flash loan where you borrow in a single block, you borrow ETH from Aave, use that ETH to fund the gas to end a stake, take the hex that you need to sell, and hope you don't get front run, because you have to reclaim the ETH. You have to at least reclaim the amount you borrowed by selling through that flash loan to get it. And then you're just becoming then if everyone is doing that, then everyone is just like dumping their hex. And like, so these gas fees to end the stake are very important to mitigate. And that's the entire purpose of the stake pools. And so that's why I think it's important to encourage people to be joining these pools instead of staking on their own. No matter what DeFi system they're doing it with. But these pools are critical. This is like a do or die thing for Hex, to be honest. I've heard you talk about saving people from taxes. Were you referring to team of the P's or staking in general? So not so much saving people, but letting people plan how they want to earn their income. Where when you stake your team, you choose exactly when and in what amounts you end stake and like take back possession of, and you choose exactly when you claim your rewards. And so, because like, when you take dominion of your assets, that, the timing of that matters, depending where you live and what your situation is. So just letting people be flexible on how they take back possession of their assets and when they claim their rewards is important. So that's for team. And then for the perpetuals, because like say you were to do a 2-year stake and on your own, you're going to redo it. Every time it ends, you have to reclaim the whole position, principal and yield, and then push forward, and then if you restake, so like that in that 2-year period, like you had that income event. Whereas in the perpetuals, you just have your token, and since it's all just kind of done on the back end, it's like, your token is in your possession, and it's not like you're receiving income because, you're not in possession of income, you're in possession of the token. And so you can plan when you want to do that. And if it makes better sense for you to sell it instead of actually redeem, then you can. And because of the way that the arbitrage opportunity works around the perpetual pool reload phase, where you can both mint and redeem, it's that during that time is like when it's going to be like the most liquid, because like anytime it leaks below there's going to be someone trying to buy that up to arbitrage it out. So even during the redemption phase, you can sell, and maybe you'll get a little bit of slippage. But if in your situation you would prefer to take like a capital gain event as opposed to a income event, then that's how you can approach it. But again, you should get your own advice on this stuff. Like, this is what I just said there is purely just information, entertainment, comedy, because all that shit's a joke. So but get real help from that. I will not help you with that. What's up, Blue? The Notorious One asks, if Deci is projected at 29% APY, is my understanding correct that it's 29% APY on each Deci token that I hold? I'm just trying to estimate potential yield on each perp. My brain just won't compute. Yeah. So if you have one Deci token, after 1 year, what that's suggesting is that after 1 year, each Deci token will have earned 0.29 hex. So at that moment, after a year, your Deci coin is backed by 1.29 hex, is what that means. Other than adding new pools to team, do you have a totally new project in mind, or is team going to be enough to manage? I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff in mind, but adding new pools to team is like trivial. Like literally on this stream right now, I could just click a button and we'd have a new pool. But I won't. But maybe I will. Maybe one day a pool just may mysteriously appear. But no, that like we won't just like frivolously launch these pools. Like, these will be like very direct efforts. Pools are always, those are always a good thing. But then the things that we're really looking for is just ways to boost the value proposition of using these products. So, as far as what in particular, but nothing outside the scope of like team and the pools. The other mid phase, mystery box can end up with half the maxi and 2 deserved Lambos for Dip Petra and Goki. Oh, not even close. No way. I mean, well, one, it's a mystery. The mystery box will be a mystery. And too. I don't want a Lambo. I'd rather have like a what I don't even know what I'd want. I like my car I already have. If I was a mystery box, I'd give Max the team stickers. That's an awesome idea. It's as if the team contract was designed to support that. But it shall remain a mystery. Hex Monkey, great hanging out with you, man. Such a good time. It's cool that the people that I met at the first one and then again hung out the second one. Those you guys are awesome. Friends for life. I saw on Twitter, huge steak is ending tomorrow. Did you hear about it? Yeah, isn't that the what's that 7-year event you were telling me about, dude? Uh, it's coming. Yeah, but I did hear about um, I did hear about that. I mean, that happens all the time. There are people with shocking amounts of hex. Every year forever, the Perpetuals will end and be on the same day. What day? No, so I mean, they kind of cycle through, right? Well, because I mean, let's take a look at it. Where do we see this? So deploy. Okay, so these are the pool lengths. So right here, the way it goes is, so it's length of pool, length of initial mint phase, and length of reload phase. So the days in between. So base is actually 369 days, and then um, after the 21 days, each additional one is 7. So like the full base cycle is actually what like 376 days. And so it definitely won't end up on the same day every year. Like it's always going to be cycling through. And then trio is 1111, which is just awesome. What an awesome number. Lucky 2555. Okay. A really tough decision that I had to make in deploying these was I really wanted this to be 2777. But that was like almost 8 years. And while that would have been fine, because it really doesn't matter, it's like the math in terms of how they like line up, I thought was preferable for it to be closer to 7 than 8. Just the way that like, because basically what it does is it adds more time to when like these multiple overlapping pools can happen. Because if it's three, because like they overlap when the year is a number that's divisible by both. And so with the first triple overlap is going to be year 21, where base, trio, and lucky line up. So 7 times 3. But had it been closer to 8, it may have been in year 28 that first triple would have lined up. So I did keep it, and because it kind of got all, but I mean, I almost did, and honestly, I kind of regret not doing it. I should have just. That's like a little bit like I feel like my reason now that I'm just saying it was pretty stupid. But this is immutable, so I'm not changing it now. And then Deci is 3696. So it's about 4 days longer. And you know I did that because those 4 days extra yield, it like that's like 1%. So and the other thing you'll notice here is that for base and trio, the reload phases are 7 days, whereas lucky and Deci are actually 14. And I think maybe it could have been longer, but I wasn't going to make these ones longer because every day that the stake isn't active, that's just like lost money. For 1 year stake, that's 1% every 4 days. So, these ones, it makes sense to keep shorter, but then these longer ones are a little bit longer. But yeah, to answer your question, they will not overlap like on the day. Oh my God. No. No. My screen hasn't been sharing this whole time. Oh my God. No. After all that analysis on, oh my God, I'm so stupid. After all that analysis on the ETH gas prices and my screen wasn't even sharing. Oh my God. Okay, well, ay, what am I doing? What is going on? Okay, guys. This is what I was okay, I'm just gonna do a quick. This is what I was showing you about the go to hexnoob.com, and you can, when I was talking about the ETH den stake, you can toggle the dates and you can toggle the gas price, and you can get historical information about ETH gas prices on this website here. And so what I was showing you is that like during some weeks, the average gas price can be as high as 538 ETH. That's the average across the whole week. So imagine what that is like at the peaks. And then, in bull markets, it gets as low as like 50. So 50 is like a low bull market range. But then, right now it's like the average is like, 25, and it's been even less lately. But this is where you can look at the gas prices. And then when you compare that to the end state gas calculator on hexnoob.com, the gas can be shocking, so that's why it's so important, to mitigate. Yeah, I wish that I was sharing my screen for that. And then the other thing that he was saying, well, the other thing I was showing was in the in the team contract, I was showing the just how the days are, where they're not meant to line up exactly on the emperor day, and there can be some phasing out. But yeah, key takeaway base is 369 days, which is kind of cool. Sorry about that. I'm a horrible show producer. Thorsten says, I really like the idea of team. I also minted 50% of my maximum team, but doing the current numbers, I know minting it'll take years until it yields something noticeable. Yeah, I mean, the current pool sizes based on the first 4 days, especially if everyone stakes, then yeah, that's kind of what we've been saying from the start. Small pools, small yield; big pools, big yield. But if people are trying to stake and competing for it, then who knows what that does to the price. But then as price goes up, then maybe less people stake, or maybe people stake because they want to sell, and then that increases the yield for everyone else. But yeah, and these are just for these pools. Who knows what other types of pools may appear. Labor team likes taking token for Defi. One sec. Thornton follows up, says, I like long-term plays though. And you guys are one of the 3 goats. All right, Alex. Tanto Goki. Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much. I feel like we're in good company. What a cool group there, What if there was like a round table where we all got together? Billy says, will there be a team like staking token for Defi? No. Somebody had a big time in Vegas. Yeah, I'm pretty tired. I feel like I was kind of getting sick too. But we shall persist. We got it and still found the calculator. That's cool. Let's see the numbers. Let's pull back up. All right, we're still creeping up on these. And people continue to mint team. I was surprised with how much team was minted, to be honest. I really was. Does anyone in the Twitter space have any questions or want to add to the discussion? Does anyone in chat want to have any more questions? Well, because if no one else has any more questions, I think I'm going to go spend some time with my wife. Hexlove says, you feel like you're getting sick one of these, they rinse your nose with a neti pot to cut down the viral load. It's a nasal tissue device. That's smart. That is smart. If anyone has any more questions, give it a couple more minutes. Okay, actually, no. Before I get off, we're gonna go ahead and watch Future of DeFi PulseCon. Why don't we watch my Parents of Blue Bomb?
So this is the Future of DeFi panel. We're going to be talking about decentralized financial tools, especially in the Pulse chain, on what they're coming about. And I just want to introduce our dear Alex from Hedron. He apologizes he's going to be here. He had a family emergency. So, however, I'm glad and thank you very much, Luan, for placing that last minute. So, I'm going to introduce you who you are. And
yeah, sure. A lot of people know me as Luan. That's my handle. My real name is John. I'm just a regular Mexican who found out about X kind of early on and dove into it. And then when Hedron came along, I dove into that and ended up becoming involved in the chats and just helping explain about Hedron to the community. That's my background. And on Twitter, I'm Hedron, and my name is Brian. I'm the creator of Maximus, and I've been in the X ecosystem for a while, building software products that enhance the investor experience. And Maximus is kind of the latest thing that we've been working on for that.
Perfect. So let's dive in a little bit. For people that don't know, what is DeFi or decentralized finance? I mean, to you, how it's evolved a little bit in general. So we're gonna talk about like on the maximum level, macro level, and then we'll do a deep dive into. Then we'll talk about how your projects are really getting talk. There's buzz. There's why is it relevant today, and what they do. So what is DeFi to you?
Well, for me, what really stands out about the Maximus project and Hedron and my Casa is that there are no admin keys. So it's really setting up the rules of the game. It's like these people are putting out contracts that are never going to be able to be changed. They're set in stone. And that's what DeFi is. It's like you know the rules of the game and you have the choice about whether to play that or not. And it's very different from when you're expecting some sort of development on a project or anything like that. There are some projects that need that, but these things really stand out as being totally their own ecosystem, and they've done really smart things with, like, there's an Oracle problem in crypto, and what these projects have done is they've taken Hex as the Oracle, the Hex contract as the Oracle. Hedron specifically really ties things to T-shares, and they use that T-shares are going to be going up in value in terms of Hex over time, and so that's where all this game sort of play comes from.
Yeah, and I guess I would describe DeFi as an alternative to traditional finance, where these systems can't be shut off, they can't be suppressed. Anyone can participate, they're permissionless. And the area that I like to focus in DeFi are things where there's like a real world use case, but then you can implement it on the blockchain. And then so for Hex, for example, that's an analog to a certificate of deposit. It's like one of the most popular financial products in the real world. And then you can utilize the qualities of blockchains and provide a better user experience and make them more secure, more trustworthy and transparent. And that's really what I think DeFi comes down to, is where rather than big institutions that are issuing your financial products are implemented with smart contracts that live on the blockchain. They can't be changed, and you can just go and read them and make sure that that the system is working how you expect it to. You can't go into a bank and read exactly how their systems are working. And so I think transparency is the big key part of DeFi that I think makes it really powerful.
Awesome. So, because you guys both, these two projects are living, there's a second layer of Hex. And for people that don't know what Hex is in the room, right? So let's talk about a little bit about Hex and why you guys chose Hex as a oracle that you said. And so, just to show in the room, how many people have Hex in the room? All right, so good, about 80% of the room have Hex, have heard of Hex, so we don't have to do a deep dive into that. So, however, let's just touch on that. So Hex, what is Hex?
So Hex is a crypto asset that allows users to time lock their funds, and then based on how long you time lock, you earn yield on it. And it's not like the yield is coming from, you're not relying on some business to pay it to you, it's just encoded in the rules of the smart contract. And so it was really one of the first big DeFi products that really leaned into this, time like staking and to earn yield. And so it's been around since December of 2019. There's about around 100,000 active stakers, and we chose to build Maximus on top of it because it's in this nice sweet spot where by now it's had almost 3 years of track record, but it still has like a lot of upside left because it's past the point where if it was to fail critically, it wouldn't happen already. So it's past that point of really high risk, but it's still new. It's a quarter of the age of Bitcoin, and so I think it's in this nice sweet spot just based on its age, and I think it really sets the standard for what DeFi really should be. There's a lot of fake DeFi because like in Hex, the contract can't be shut off, no one controls it, it just works. Whereas there's a lot of applications that kind of parade as if they're DeFi, but there's really like a handful of people that control the system. They can print as many coins as they want. They can shut your account off. And so I think that Hex is really like a strong definition of what DeFi is. And so far it's really attracted a diverse group of people. Like there's really nothing like it. Most other cryptos are like all just tech bros and or finance bros, but Hex, I mean, look around all these events here, it's really a diverse set of people, all ages, all parts of the world, and so there's some really powerful things in that, and I think that Hex is a strong thing to build financial assets around for those reasons, so that's why with Maximus, that's why we're building around Hex.
Can you explain a little bit more about exactly what Maximus is,
Oh, yeah.
how it works, and how we participate in it? Because we skipped over that.
Okay, yeah.
Sure, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. I just wanna make sure because Hex is the first layer of both of these projects. So we need to understand what's the first layer first so that we can talk about the second layer, what they built on. So let's talk about Hedron. Why did Hedron build on top of the Hex as well?
Well, for similar reasons. It's its own ecosystem and it's all locked off. So we know for certain that, and what Hex really did brilliantly was it aligned with incentives. It highly incentivized people to lock up so they can get that yield. And because people are taking that supply and locking it up, that reduces supply on the market. And then over time, the price goes up because as more people find out about it, the network effect kicks in and people are find out about how the incentives are aligned. And so Hex just works really, really well. And so Hedron built on top of that. And it essentially just gives free Hedron to Hex stakers. So it's just another kind of bonus. And at the simplest level, you can just get your free Hedron from your Hex stakes. You can stake that Hedron. You get ICOSA, staking Hedron. You can now stake ICOSA, and you get Hedron and ICOSA. And it did kind of it was like the new version of the game in a lot of ways, and it is complex when you first hear about it. But after a while of diving into it, you can kind of understand it, and it just gives you a lot of options to like really.
For the
play
people
it
listening on
as a
Twitter
game.
Spaces, we're just
And there isn't
watching
one
the
way to kind of like
Future of DeFi panel I was on at PulseCon this week.
Judgments and having to balance this out. But yeah, Hex is a perfect thing to build on because it's all decentralized and blocked off, and because of this massive community of people who are getting into it.
So let's do the deep dive on the projects. Now that we understand the first level, which is X, which is a time-weighted CD, you can stay for 1 day or 5,555 days, which is about 15 years. So now those contracts are now immutable, they're locked in, and it's your choice as a investor or saver, right? To save for future value. So let's go to Maximus. So what is the second layer part? What is the game theory behind it or the architecture that you guys built on top of that?
So Maximus is a protocol for trustlessly pooling hex stakes. So rather than staking on your own, you can join a stake pool, and the user benefits are that you earn more yield than staking on your own, and there's huge gas fee savings involved. And then also you have the benefit of being able to trade your token that's issued when you contribute to the pool, and so you can trade it at any time. So these tokens that are these pool tokens are fully backed by the underlying hex principle and the yield that comes from the stake. And we built it. We launched our first stake pool in April. It was called Maxi. It was a 15-year stake pool, and we pooled about 294 million hex into a single stake, and across about 5,400 users, and so the people really liked it because it gives a lot of flexibility to the stakes, and then also the gas fee savings are enormous because with hex the gas fee for ending your hex stake, it's not based on how big your hex stake is, it's based on how long it is. And so every additional day on a hex stake, it costs a little bit more in gas. And then, so these really long hex stakes could become really expensive to end on Ethereum. And even if full chain is a big success, and there's billions of users on full chain, a lot of NFT and DeFi applications, the gas fees on full chain could be really high in 15 years too. So, that was why we built these stake pools in the first place. It was mainly around the gas fees because every dollar that someone's paying in gas fee, that's hex that they have to sell in order to cover that, or that's money that they just can't put in hex because they need to save for gas. So we're planning on keeping billions of dollars in the hex ecosystem through these stake pools, just from gas savings alone. So Maxi was the first pool that we launched in April, and then just on Monday of this week, we rolled out a new suite of these contracts. It's called Maxi's Team and the Perpetuals. And what the Perpetuals are they're stake pools of different length that repeat and auto-compound when they're done. So we have Base, which is a 1-year stake, Trio, which is a 3-year stake, Lucky is a 7-year stake, and Decimus, which is a 10-year stake. And so we give people a lot of options on the length of stake they want to use, and those gas fee savings and liquidity benefits are there for the users. And then those ones, we built in this growth engine for Hex and for these Perpetuals through this thing called Team. And Team they're incentivized to grow the size of these stake pools by earning a little bit of yield from all of them. And so we're really trying to build this flywheel effect where people who are team holders are incentivized to grow these pools. So that means onboarding current Hex skins, explaining the benefits of stake pooling, you're going to earn more yield and save on gas, and be able to trade your token at any time. And then also to outreach into new Hex skins, and we equip them with kind of a fresh sales pitch of lower fees, more yield. We have 4 new ticker symbols, and also the user experience is very simple. You just click one button and you mint it, and you don't have to decide how long you stake. You don't have to manage your stake, and you don't have to worry about early end stake penalties or late end stake penalties. So this layer that we built on top of Hex, it's going to keep a lot of money in the Hex economy, which is critical, and it also improves the user experience of staking Hex. So that's really what we're building with Maximus.
All right, so let's go continue with Hedron. Hedron is a separate project, separate from Maxi. So can you explain a little bit about Hedron and how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said before, like Hex was really the game board, putting the game board on there. And Hedron was the first one that came along and said, okay, if you've got a Hex stake, you can now mint Hedron for free, absolutely for free. And it's based on how many days you've served and how many T-shares you have, so how much Hex you've got locked up. And then after about like 6 months, Alex also put out ICOSA, which is a way to stake Hedron and to lock up more of that into that ecosystem. And what's really exciting for me is this is the place where all the innovation is happening. But there's only places in our societies at the moment where governments are just putting their fat fingers over everything, and you just know it's going to be detrimental because they just want to have control. And this is a place which is completely permissionless, and these contracts which people are putting out, no one can do anything about them. And so this is where all the innovation is flowing. And what the guys done, they hit it out of the park with Maxi. There is not one person who regrets not getting to that first contract. I mean, it's an amazing concept. It was really simple. It was great for people to grasp, and they were kind of like the second kind of game piece to be moved onto the Hex board. And I think we're just really at the start of this. Like, people are now coming up with all sorts of ideas of how can I create a lot of contracts where people it's going to be up to max human behavior as to what happens to these things, and that's it. It's not going to be like for any later changing things. Like the rules are set, and so we know what the game rules are. And so yeah, with Hedron, if you have Hex stakes, you get to mint Hedron. You can stake that Hedron, you get ICOSA. You can stake that ICOSA and get Hedron and ICOSA, and and since he came out with that, I think Hexagons started deep diving more and realizing the power of this. And the power of it is to get Hex locked up, which in the end helps that whole ecosystem. So a lot of these coins like Maxi and all of the Perpetuals and Team and all the Hedron stuff, it's going to kind of go with Hex together. Although now it's kind of interesting because we're starting to see like Hedron's been pumping, like after the big flush out, like now it's kind of coming and it's starting to separate, and it's got its own like price chart that's independent. And like we've been in a bear market and Hedron's been pumping for the last 2 months. It's incredible, and I think we're going to see I'm so excited to see what happens to how many people like actually burn their Maxi because it's so valuable. And it's just going to make it even more valuable when people burn it for the team, and the Perpetuals and stuff like that. I think it's a super exciting time to be in this space, and I can't wait to see what these guys come up with in the future. And everyone out there who now has this kind of blueprint for how to go about like implementing a fully decentralized contract.
Yeah, I mean, Hex feels really electric right now. I mean, it's like a bear market, but Hex, you wouldn't even know it. I mean, you look at the price targets, off all-time highs, but just the amount of activity going on in our ecosystem, that really shows like how Hex can have really strong retention. Like Hex kind of, anyone who gets into Hex, it kind of consumes their life, and that's like a really bullish thing. And so while the rest of the crypto world is kind of licking their wounds during this bear market and just kind of waiting. The Hexagons are building stuff. And what's really cool about this stuff is that because like a key aspect of DeFi is that these contracts are interoperable with one another. And so like with Maxi, a big part of it, like our contracts fully integrate with Hedron because we're pooling these Hex stakes, and so they're earning Hedron. And we've kind of been almost in lockstep where Hedron launched, and then a couple weeks later Maxi launched, and then a couple weeks ago, ICOSA launched, and then now this new suite of contracts from Maximus launched. And so where Hedron's like a big piece of that. And so that's I think like a really strong aspect is where these these things that are boosting the financial utility of Hex, we're all kind of in the same ecosystem, where on one hand they're kind of competing products, because if buyers either buy it, I don't want to buy this one, but it's like the value as the Hedron value goes up, it boosts the value of these ones, so of our products. So it's like a pretty cool symbiotic thing that we've got going on in this ecosystem, and I feel like it's really adding a lot of strength to Hex.
So just so you guys know, both of you guys have booths downstairs. If you guys want to do more of a bigger deep dive, they're going to be downstairs, and you can collect more information. You can go to hedron.pro to learn more about Hedron, and then you can go to
MaximusDAO.com.
Perfect. So thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and close.
All right, that was cool. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. Thank you all for listening on Twitter Spaces. And thank you for everyone here in the chat. Let's see if we get any last things anyone said. Hexlove says you didn't mention the T-share in your definition of Hex. Yeah, I mean, I usually that's more of like a kind of like technical term amongst Hex. I said that you earn based on how long you stake, and then the details of what implements that is the T-share. But just to kind of limit new words that people have to comprehend, that's why I generally don't really include it like that. Hosting Poland said about 80% of the people here already have Hex stakes. So you need to get an explainer Hex is, so you have to explain it. Yeah, that happens. You explained your vision for DeFi really well. Thank you, Astro. Parlay from far away, Subdip. What's up, Parlay? Ash says hello. Hexlo says thank you. Sleep well. Tex Hex says Gene and I enjoyed meeting you. Hey, that was awesome meeting you too. That really was. Can't wait till the next one. All right, guys, it's time. I'm going to bed. I'll talk to you soon. Good night, everybody.